GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today is Monday, the 2nd of December. So we've had a monthly close for November, and you can see that we've closed pretty strong here, around about 96.2 thousand on the monthly close of Bitcoin. And things are looking good here for continuation. Obviously, I talked about the fact that a low for December probably comes in within the first few days of the month. I talked about the analysis that I shared on the last video from Eric Crown to sort of suggest that when we have seen Bitcoin in its halving years in December, the low has come in pretty early on within the first few days. So there's nothing that I've really seen to take me away from the fact that I'm expecting Bitcoin probably bottoms over the next few days. And that's a dip that I want to lean into on some altcoin positions. So let's get straight into it. And we can see just on the monthly looking really strong, really powerful. The Tom DeMark count, we're on a sort of monthly two going above the one. So we'd expect to see continuation for a few more months. Just interestingly, if we look at the last bull run, and if we take ourselves back to 2020, we can see that the breakout coming really at the end of November, that is when Bitcoin closed near enough on new all-time highs. And we then sort of accelerated into sort of December. And to be honest with you, above the all-time high, we kind of had 1, 2, 3, 4 candles. The fifth candle then putting our top in. And if we were to look at where we are here, obviously we've broken out in November, so we've broken out a little bit earlier this cycle. But if we were to go on another 5 candles, so calling this the first one, 2, 3, 4, and then if the top was to be made, it would be number 5. That would sort of take us to March. So again, I'm expecting probably mainly upwards over the next few months, potentially up to 4 months, into the end of Q1 2025. Of course, I'm expecting some volatility. There probably is a correction that comes over the next few weeks. And I've talked about potentially this happens in January. But for now, I think December is likely another positive month. Through this consolidation, we've really seen altcoins start to pick up. So I will be doing an update a little bit later in terms of altcoins, some of my altcoin picks and certain trade setups for them. So let's go down to the daily then, and we can see that we are sort of consolidating here. And this is what I've been calling for. I was really calling for general consolidation into December. If we look at my other chart where I've actually got the path drawn, then this will give us a decent idea in terms of what we're doing and what the expectation was. So like I say, above 95,000 is super bullish. Can we come a bit lower? Yes. Can we come down and tag this 20-day moving average? Absolutely. Could we come a little bit lower back towards sort of 92, 91,000? Absolutely, we could. I think we could probably go as low as sort of this low here, just under 91,000, potentially flushing that low. This is all still on the cards, but obviously this would only really be confirmed with a break below this 95,000 level, which Bitcoin seems to be holding at the moment. And if we just look at the 4-hour chart, then we can see that this path, I think it's playing out fairly well. Like I say, we sort of got it sort of coming up and tagging sort of nearly 99,000. Now it's come back down to around 95 to sort of retest this support. So, you know, is it possible that we do something like this and come a little bit lower sort of down here? Absolutely it is. That could most definitely happen. If that wants to come down, yeah. So we could see something like this. It could be a little bit more volatile, but I'm thinking that probably we just come in to this support at 95,000 again. Obviously, calling for a deeper breakdown is, I think, a bit premature here. But yeah, of course, it could happen. We could come a little bit lower before we actually then sort of take off later in December. And like I say, I am expecting for later this month for Bitcoin to break 100,000 and reach all-time highs. So yeah, again, it hasn't changed. I've said Bitcoin on this pullback, this consolidation correction, whatever you want to call it, I expect to hold 87,000, not go any deeper than that, and I expect 100,000 to be broken in December time. Neither of those predictions or expectations for me have changed. So that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking fairly good. We can also take a look at the liquidation heat map as well. So let's just get this loaded up because I haven't looked at this in a little while. And I think probably the best thing to do here is to look at the weekly when it loads up. We can kind of see where traders are putting their liquidations and their stop losses. So we can see quite a lot of liquidity still building up just above price here. Not too much to low. So it could be that we do wick down a little bit lower. Like I say, just under the 95,000, get some liquidity down there, maybe trap some shorts and then look to go higher. And just looking at the weekly liquidations, so we can see there are some weekly liquidations below price coming down to that 90,000 level. So again, Bitcoin could run down there if it wanted to before taking the liquidity on the upside. And yeah, for me, I think, like I say, 100,000 is inevitable. I do think we'll come up here at some point. So that's that. Okay, so just moving on now to Ethereum as well. So we can see Ethereum has been doing fairly well. It's sort of topped out sort of when is this sort of last night and starting to pull back. If we just go up to the monthly on Ethereum, we can see that obviously the monthly looking very strong here. Nice big green candle starting to come into some resistance on this descending trend line, which I talked about many times previously. So I am thinking that Ethereum probably gets a little bit of resistance between sort of a high here and 3,850, call it that. But at some point, I think it's inevitable. I think when Bitcoin breaks 100,000, Ethereum will break this trend line and start to move back to its all-time highs. So obviously, we've talked about Ethereum being a little bit of a lagger. We've also talked about Ethereum tending to perform better in Q1 and Q2 as opposed to Bitcoin that performs better in Q4 and Q1. So potentially Ethereum lags Bitcoin by a few months. And that's really what we're starting to see. Obviously, we had Bitcoin push up sort of last month and the month before back to its all-time highs. Ethereum seems to be following, albeit a couple of months behind Bitcoin. So nothing really changed on Ethereum. I am thinking right now Ethereum looks like probably one of the best ones to position into just in terms of being a catch-up trade. And I fully expect by the end of this year, Ethereum would have likely broken out this descending trend line and be moving back to its all-time highs, if not in December, then definitely in January. But I really can't see Bitcoin breaking above 100,000 and Ethereum not following and breaking this trend line. So Ethereum looking very strong. Solana really just consolidating here, so doing its thing. So again, the monthly on Solana, we can see Solana coming back to tagging its all-time high on the monthly, and then on the weekly, we said be a little bit cautious with the Tom DeMark 9 sell. That's exactly what we've seen. Solana coming back down and retesting the recent lows from this pullback. So let's see if we can find some support here. If not, we might come a little bit deeper, potentially down to around sort of the 215, 214 level and that 786 fib retracement. If we want to go all the way back, then potentially we could come down even lower to around about $200. I don't think personally that Solana will go much lower than $200 on this pullback. And like I say, it's one that I'm starting to lean into. I already bought this dip to the 618 to add some more to my spot holdings. And if Solana does come down further, I'll probably add again. So no real concerns with Solana for me. It's just doing its thing. It's just cooling off as you'd expect when it's got back to its all-time high. Pepe was looking strong. Look, we've pushed up here. We've now seen a pullback today, quite a good pullback. So Pepe, I expect same thing with Bitcoin, same thing with Ethereum, same thing with Solana. It's consolidation. For me, this is consolidation. This is price finding acceptance at new all-time highs for Pepe. And, you know, it's very healthy. Last week, we had a decent weekly close. Everything closed pretty well last week. And I'm expecting that Pepe probably grinds it out from here. Does it come down a little bit lower? If Bitcoin loses 95K, yeah, these other majors will start to sort of lose their sort of mid-ranges and probably wick down to the recent lows as well. Obviously, Solana might fall a little bit further, but yeah, I expect Pepe to get some reaccumulation over the next few days, over this week, and likely push on to higher prices into the end of the year. So that's the major covered. Let's just take a quick look at the dollar, because we said that the DXY was starting to break down. We've seen this weekly Tom DeMark sell at a sort of key prior swing high. So obviously resistance coming into the market. We're now starting to hold and flip this descending trend line into new support. However, so I'm expecting the dollar probably consolidates. And look, obviously we talked about a strong dollar is not the best thing for crypto assets and for risk on assets, but I think probably at some point, you know, as long as the dollar is not ripping higher, then it's a fairly good thing. And I think probably at some point with the Fed, it's going to be cutting interest rates more. I do see the dollar probably coming down at some point over the next few months, which potentially could coincide with a top coming in for the crypto market. But yeah, for me, I'm not immediately bullish or bearish on the dollar here. I think it probably consolidates for a week or two before it decides what it wants to do next. And then just taking a quick look at the stock markets. So the stock market's consolidating at all-time highs right now. That's on the S&P. The same with the NASDAQ. And look, I've said I expect new all-time highs probably for stocks before year end. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Just going back to Bitcoin then to quickly recap. So Bitcoin remaining strong, still consolidating. Like I say, I think probably if you're looking to buy Bitcoin or lean in to adding to crypto positions, you probably get an opportunity this week to do it. This is probably the last opportunity, I think, until we see Bitcoin cross 100,000K. So look, $100,000. So look, I think, yeah, all attention on Bitcoin really. Can it hold this 95K level? Does it come a little bit lower? If it does, I mean, I will be buying that dip myself. And yeah, that's it really. It was a strong monthly close, strong weekly close. And yeah, things are looking good. Things are looking healthy. And I'm expecting more continuation for the rest of this month. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash the like, subscribe if not done so already. And I'll be back very soon with another update. GM.